Welcome back, Joe's and James. Van here again with Average Joe's Fishing Club, and I've got Troy with Bass Pro Shops here in Olathe. He's actually got some pretty good news of some new stuff here at Bass Pro Shops, and I was going to let him kind of give a little bit of an intro to it here.
Hey guys, again, thank you to Van and Average Joe's for having me. I'll tell you what, you know, one of the things that this COVID, this pandemic has caused is we've got an influx of brand new baits, probably more new baits that I've seen come in the past really 30 to 60 days than I've seen in a long time. And tonight we're going to take the time to talk a little bit about them. We're also going to talk a little bit about the granddaddy sale of them all. It's the one that Bass Pro started, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But first, let's get started on some of this new stuff. We are so proud to present some of the new 6th Sense baits. We've got the crankbaits. We've got what looks like 6, 7, 8 versions of their soft bait. And we also have 2 versions of the jig, their regular jig and their swim jig. One of the baits that we're having a hard time keeping in stock, Van, is that 6th Sense square bill.
Yeah, the Crush 50.
Yeah, it's we do carry it right now. We are out of stock on it, but it's a great bait. We're just gonna kind of go through these baits, tell you a little bit about them. Van's gonna tell us how he likes to fish them. But again, like I say, I just can't tell with you enough the excitement that I have, because we're getting some new stuff here at Bass Pro, and we want to be some of the first ones to share it with you. This is the 6th Sense Clout. This is kind of their stick worm, and I'm kind of old-fashioned. There's a few of those baits that I fish, but one of the things that excited me the most about this, their brand of stick worm, is when you take your hand and you just run it down that bait. Look at the amount of salt that comes out of it. Yeah. And I don't know about you, Van, but I'm big on heavily salted baits, much like the Cinco. You know, one of the things that we see in the tank behind us when we're doing demos is when you throw a salted bait in there and a fish takes it, they don't want to spit it out. They just hold on to it a long time. Now, I've not fished this. Have you had a chance to fish it? I
haven't yet, because everything's iced over. Yeah. But I kid you not. I mean, and we'll show a close up here later. There's enough salt in here not only to gain some fish's attraction, but there's enough salt in here that'll make Gary Yamamoto jealous. That's a lot of salt, and it'll work the same way. You could wacky rig it, you could weightless Texas rig it, you could put it on a shaky head. Heck, you could even Carolina rig this or something if you wanted. Man, it's just, I'm excited. I've been waiting for 6th Sense for quite a while. I'm becoming quite a fan of theirs, so it's good to see these baits here at Bass Pro.
All right, guys, moving right along. The next one we're going to take a look at is their Stroker Craw, and the cool thing about it is it can be used and utilized so many different ways. You know, obviously you can fish it Texas style. You can fish it as a jig trailer. You know, there's some other baits out there that are similar, but it's real meaty, real chunky. And it's just a great looking bait as well.
And you know, another thing that I can tell with these plastics is there's a few other brands out there that you get one fish out of them. They're torn up, they're done, and then you'll go through your pack and a couple of fish and you're out. But these, I can tell by the density of the plastic that you should get, you know, a couple of fish or better out of each one of these baits. He was talking about Texas rigging them. You could put that on as a jig trailer. You could use that even for punching. Since there's really not much, it's small compact bait. You get that big heavy tungsten weight, it'll pull it down through those mats. Real nice and good. Lovely color on this one. This is like a green pumpkin candy or whatever, so good stuff.
Great bait. I noticed there doesn't have a lot of tentacles on the side, so for punching there's not a lot for it to get hung on.
Yeah, and we'll get close-ups of this of course too, but just very small ones here, but they're actually going the way that it would go down through, so they fold over real easy. You know, like if I were going to Texas rig this, I'd put it on probably a medium heavy rod, you know, 15 to 20 pound test, depending on whether weeds or wood, rock, whatever. Anywhere from a 1/4 ounce weight up to a 1/2 ounce weight, depending on how fast you want it to go down. But being able to rear back set that hook.
Real meaty body. All right, guys, this is another one that I haven't had a chance to use, but there's a lot of creature baits out there. This is called the Hog Willa, and it's a pretty nice little creature type bait. Again, all these baits have a little bit of salt in them. Some of them are more than others, but it's just our basic creature style bait. Got it in I think 6 colors, and another great bait by 6 Cents.
And you're right, Troy. This, I guess, would be 6 Cents version of a creature bait. I guess most closely it would resemble Gene LaRue makes one, but also Zoom. You know,
Brush hog.
Everybody knows the brush hog.
Yeah.
And it's actually got 2 tails though. And the good thing about these legs is they aren't attached like the brush hogs are. So almost more like a lizard, you're going to get the all that extra flutter action and everything.
Yeah, you could actually use that like a lizard.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, flip it, pitch it, Carolina rig it. Whatever.
Again, we're just so excited to have these 6 Cents baits. And I think I got one more to show you besides some of the crankbaits. And this is the Prawn. And I guess if we were to talk about the Prawn, it would be a lot like some of the beaver baits out there on the market. You know, it's got that big flap tail. Obviously, you can split it if you want a little more action, but I mean, that's when they call it the Prawn. This is the 6 Cents Prawn. It's going to be more like a beaver style bait. Yeah,
like your Reaction Innovations,
exactly.
Sweet Beaver, stuff like that. Which everybody knows that there's times where they want, you know, flappers, and there's times when they actually prefer something more solid. Like one big flap instead of individual flaps. So. Again, I mean, you Texas rig it, jig trailer.
It's a pretty heavy, pretty beefy bait.
Yeah.
Perfect for flipping or pitching.
Yep.
Around the edges of grass, docks.
And again, I'm really impressed with 6 Cents, the plastic formula that they use. I can tell they're good, very good quality baits.
Super. That's the Prawn, guys. That's kind of an assortment of our 6 Cents plastic baits. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the crankbaits.
Yeah, I'll grab that.
And there's just some unbelievable colors. I think we pretty much have the entire depth range represented except for the topwaters. But, we talked a little bit about the square bill. I wish I could show you one, but it's been, even as early season it's been so crazy hot. We just can't keep it in stock. I've got more on order. Yep. But we've also got their... what I would say their next depth would be the wigglewort type bait. That's probably what's going to be.
It's going to be like your 5 to 8 foot range. Yeah. Very similar to a wigglewort or the Spro. It's
rock
this
crawler,
one.
yep.
Yeah, this one's called the Curve 55. Same basic size, same basic weight, same depth range that it hits. And I can't think of what color this one is. Crackle Crawl. It's red and orange, and even more like a purple back on it. But I mean, good cold water colors there, which anywhere from late fall into early spring. Everybody throws wiggleworts around here. Everybody throws the rock crawlers, and so this is definitely something else you'll want to add to your arsenal. This one's more of like a sexy shad, but with a purple back. Great colors.
And then the last one we're going to talk about is their
Cloud 9.
Yeah.
C6 series.
So this is their one. It looks a little bit more like a deep diver, but it's not really that deep a diver.
Yeah.
Got the bluegill color and some shad colors. Guys, we're just showing you a little bit, give you a little bit of a taste. But we've got more colors in all of these baits. And just want to share them with you because it's a brand new bait here at Bass Pro Shops. And we're really excited to have them. And I'll be honest with you, once we get rid of some of this ice, can't wait to use some of these pre-spawn crankbaits.
Oh, yeah.
And tell you how they do. So just want to thank you again for allowing us to share those 6 Cents baits. Moving right along, we're going to talk a little bit about a reel that a lot of people have been asking about. And this is the new Lew's Pro SP. Guys, you know, we have a lot of people asking for that skipping, pitching, you know, flipping type of reel. And, you know, we have the Tatula, obviously, by Daiwa. Not that you can't pitch or flip with some of the other reels, but this is, I think, one of the first times that a company's actually made a reel that that's primarily focused on skipping and pitching. In fact, if you're a crankbait guy, you're not going to want to launch a crankbait with one of these. As you can see, it's got a very, very shallow spool. It's small profile. It only weighs 6 ounces. I believe, I mean, I don't want to misspeak, so let me tell you, I believe it is 8+1, so it's a 9-bearing reel. And it's got a maximum capacity about 40 yards of 20-pound test line.
Yep. This is up close and personal, because when you're pitching, flipping, skipping, you're usually less than 40 yards. And he's not kidding when he said this reel is small. It's tiny. This is the most palmable reel I think I've ever seen. And so, I mean, when you're going to be flipping, pitching, getting under docks, you know, next to dock walkways, stuff like that. And what is the, I don't know if I've actually seen the gear ratio on this one yet.
The gear ratio, this one is, you know, if you're thinking about flipping or pitching, you want to move those fish away from the cover that you're fishing, whether it be a cable or a dock or even some heavy brush. This one's actually high speed. It's an 8-3-1.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good for a small profile reel. But again, that shallow spool, there's a couple things that it's going to accomplish. Guys, if you're flipping or pitching and you're in close quarters, you're not going to need 140 yards of line.
Yep.
A lot of that line is just really backing, or it's line that's never going to see the water. So they've shallowed that spool up, and the other thing it does is it helps eliminate that deep backlash.
Yep.
You know, when you're skipping or you're pitching, you're trying to get that under something, and a lot of times if you're like me, and I hate to admit it, because I think everybody thinks I'm the greatest, but I'm one of those guys that's usually in the back of the boat, and I hit the side of the dock or I hit the pontoon, and the first thing that happens to me is I get a big old backlash. So with 40 yards of 20, guys, there's not much picking. And you know, I don't know if you know about 20-pound line, but most of the time you can pull it right out. So again, it's a very shallow spool reel. It's designed exclusively for skipping and pitching. That's the Pro SP by Luz. Don't have a price offhand, but we've been selling it pretty quickly here at Olathe Bass Pro.
Yeah. And, you know, having that 8.3-to-1, I don't know, I've always referred to it, because the guy that taught me most of my fishing, you know, my mentor, when you flipping and pitching a bait or whatever, and you get a fish that grabs it and starts running straight back at you, call that railroading. That fish is railroading you. Back in the day when 6.2-to-1 was considered fast, there was times I couldn't reel fast enough to catch up to that fish, and I'd miss them. So you get up into that 7 range. Now we got 8 range gear ratios. They've even got 9s and 10s out now. That gives you the ability, when you see that fish running right at you, you're taking up that line, and you can still get a hook set.
Yep.
Yeah, great stuff.
Guys, come in and check us out. We've got a lot of new product, a lot of new reels, and we're just so happy to be able to share it with Van, Average Joe's. We want to wish everyone a safe season. Obviously, we got, I think they said 73% of the U.S. is under some type of snow or ice. So I want you to be careful out there. But here's the cool thing, guys. It's not going to be that long, and we're all going to be out on the water fishing. Want everyone to be able to do it safely, and we want to share some new product with you. And hope you get out on the water and have a safe 2021 and catch some fish, because that's what it's all about.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Troy, and thanks a lot, BPS. Without Bass Pro, we couldn't do this.
Thanks.